They were told by my former doctor that I was at very high risk for suicide if they didn't agree to the treatment. I was about 12 when I started on puberty blockers.
I'm at UCLA. I just met Clementine, who recently detransitioned. When she was 12, Joanna Olson Kennedy put her on puberty blockers. At 13, put on testosterone. 14 years old, given a double mastectomy. Oh yeah, this never happens. I forgot.
You're anti-trans.
All right, the first one we got is Ruined Leon. We got doctor that hid trans research gets sued by detransition. I'm going to guess Joanna Olson Kennedy. I guess we'll find out. Let's have a look.
Hi, how are you? I haven't seen you since last year. Corny joke, I know, but somebody's gotta make it. Do you remember the video I made like a month ago or 2 months ago? It was last year, so it's last year's news, of a woman, a doctor, who was supposed to do research on
Yeah, like I said, Joanna Olson Kennedy.
children and their mental issues and how maybe if they transition, it will be for the better
Hi, Bug. I hope you're good.
of their mental health. And they had all this time, all this effort and money into doing all the research. And then at the end result, they came up with the result of none of this actually having an effect on children's mental health. And instead of giving that information to the public so that we could probably further the conversation of kids transitioning, they
Oh, Gypsy Lee, you don't like Abba and Preach? I quite like them, to be honest. They did a video about like hate speech, or at least partly about hate speech, that honestly I really felt, about how they'd rather people just kind of said the slurs rather than talk around them, which I agree with. I'd rather someone's going to hate on me because I'm trans, I'd rather just call me a tranny and get it over with than say all this like weird shit that I have to like try and work out if this fucking person is like, whatever.
instead withheld that information from the public because of the evil transphobic people who are going to use that information to say, hey, transitioning kids really doesn't make any sense. And as the only transphobic wizard in the Hogwarts universe, I must say, if you wanted to be a true trans ally,
I guess I don't have any strong feelings on most of these people. I'm kind of the same, honestly. There's specific ones, I think. A lot of these people that talk about this kind of stuff, I often don't even know who they are. So like, maybe I'm watching someone who's done terrible things in their life. I don't know. Who they are is often secondary to me to what they're talking about. You know what I mean? Hi, Rob Slide. I hope you're good. Defending Chris Tyson. I don't remember them doing that, but fair enough. Destiny. Yeah, don't look at my old videos if you don't like that. Listen, he went way too far in my opinion, but I agree with the idea that Trump kind of created the conditions for what was going on at his rallies, like people shooting at him and stuff. In as much as it sucks, and we shouldn't probably make fun of people that died, and that's way too far for me. I don't know.
the worst thing you could do is give
What time is it for me? 3:22 in the afternoon.
To be a true trans ally. The worst thing you could do is give ammunition to people who already are against you. And when you are given money, time.
Yeah, see, this is the thing. She's giving them ammo either way because she's insisting on studying trans kids when the evidence is just kind of not there to say that it's particularly safe. And the odds are, if you're going to study trans kids and study like the effects of puberty blockers and stuff, you're going to get at least some data that you're not going to like very much if you have that kind of mentality where you want to prove that it's okay. So really the only way to not give people ammo is just to not study this shit, or make the study such that it's going to show extremely biased results, and then you've got what you want, But I guess you fucked up on that. Assuming by the way, assuming that the results or the findings of the study were bad, they might not be that bad, We don't know. So we have to intuit. And the obvious answer is it didn't go the way she wanted, unfortunately for her.
time, effort, and the resources to do research to help or disprove your own argument, and then you hide that, boy, you did a great disservice to all those transgenders who are hoping for a different outcome. But that's old news. The new news that I didn't know about is that this doctor, I think along with others, are being sued. Why? What reason other could you have guessed?
Like financial reimbursement for the medical costs that this has caused me. I am mostly doing this because there's a lot of speculation online that this doesn't happen. Nobody's fast-tracked into this, and the lack of gatekeeping in this process is really absurd, and people like me fall through the cracks.
How old were you when you started?
I was about 12 when I started on puberty blockers.
What did your parents say?
These people are going to keep coming out, and so many trans people insist that there's not a problem. It's just going to keep happening. How many times does someone who transitioned at the age of fucking 12 need to come out and say that there's a problem before people decide, hey, maybe there's a problem? You know what I mean?
My parents were really resistant.
It's unacceptable to not study things through and through. Yeah, I mean, like, I really was going to say something and I forgot. Never mind. No, it's also unacceptable to barely study something and then use that to like medicalize children, for sure. Like, you want to do this stuff to kids, you should be airtight, in my opinion. How am I today? I'm okay. My head's a bit floaty still. I'm coming off one of my medications. So I'm a bit unhinged lately, and I also feel a bit full of helium, you know? I don't know how to explain it. It's like everything's moving, but it'll just kind of keep quietening down. The head pulsing is mostly like okay, I think. It was only bad for a few days, to be honest with you. I think I get the worst of it in the first few days. At least I'm hoping so.
Started.
I was about 12 when I started on puberty blockers.
What did your parents say?
My parents were really resistant originally, and they were pretty strongly...
Insistence on trans kids is purely bizarre. Kids go through phases, overreaction. Yeah, the thing is, these people aren't interested or concerned with those kids' safety. They're concerned with making sure people can transition as soon as humanly possible. And I think quite a lot of this sentiment, like, I'm sorry if this gets repetitive, I do apologize, but I think quite a lot of this sentiment comes from like older MTFs especially. I hear so many like older male to female transsexual people that seem convinced that they should have transitioned before puberty and that they'd be happy if that were the case, which no one knows. I don't know if I'd have been happier if I'd have transitioned pre-puberty. In fact, it may have actually made my life a lot worse. It may have made my health a lot worse, you know what I mean? So no one knows that. But there seems to be a lot of investment from those kinds of people. And no one ever wants to answer why. And when I ask, people take offense. So it's like, okay, amazing. And again, if people won't answer, I'll have to intuit. And to me, some of these like MTFs, some of these MTF types, they seem like they just want to live vicariously through these kids, which is extremely creepy. And I don't know, someone can come to me and explain what the actual shit is. Otherwise, I'm just going to have to assume, unfortunately, because I can only go off how it looks to me when no one explains, right? If trans activists can ignore the detrans, standard population can ignore trans. Yeah, that's true. The logic doesn't really track very well, but hey.
Believing that I was not transgender, and they were told by my former doctor that I was at very high risk for suicide if they didn't agree to the treatment.
And you were not.
How many times have we heard this? Jesus Christ. That's how they do it. They tell your parents, would you rather have a dead son or an alive daughter, or vice versa? Disgusting. It's manipulation. I mean, should we tell kids that we'd better buy them a PlayStation, otherwise they might kill themselves, for example? Likely have made me disabled had I transitioned as a child. Yeah, maybe, I don't know. I'll never know for sure. Like, I'm very compelled, should I say, to like feminize myself. So in a way, yes, I would have been happier, like with a higher voice, like looking a certain way. But truthfully, I don't know what else could have came with that. You know what I mean? And to be honest, most of the like puberty blocker cases that I've seen, a lot of them tend to just kind of look like small boys. It really depends how good they are at like makeup and stuff, you know. Comes off as predatory and manipulative. Yeah, true, exactly.
They were told by my former doctor that I was at very high risk for suicide if they didn't agree to the treatment.
And you were not.
No, I was not suicidal at the time.
Holy shit. And she wasn't suicidal. Fucking hell. It's just... Oh, and it's all they have as well. Like, when all else fails, just bang the suicide drum over and over. It's disgusting. I find it deplorable. And when I talk about puberty blockers to people, it's just an inevitability that the argument is going to be, well, it's to stop people committing suicide, which is bizarre. You've seen Elliot Page lately, she doesn't look well. Has she ever looked well? Jesus. Every time I've ever seen Elliot Page as Elliot Page, like post-transition, there's something about her, like, I just feel sad. I feel sorry for that person. And that's a person with, like, riches and influence beyond anything I will ever imagine, you know what I mean? And, like, just to look at this person, it just, something, like, hits me, you know what I mean? I refuse to believe that a person is happy, I'm sorry. And it seems like they've fallen down the TRA doctrine, so they're kind of fucked, unfortunately, and that sucks, but what can you do? Yeah, Alan Page was alright looking, I guess, beforehand. I don't know. I don't really. I know. You know. I don't know if she was really my type that much, but.
And I only attempted suicide after being on testosterone.
And when you finished, you were roughly how old?
I finished testosterone, or I fully stopped taking testosterone earlier this year.
And when did you decide this was not for you?
Earlier this year, after completing DBT therapy and sort of having...
There'll be no new talking points. Has there ever been new talking points? Like, I don't know. One of the things that blew my mind when I started this, like I started my Twitter a little bit before I started posting on YouTube and stuff. And it's the same shit that it always was. All the people are still harassing the fuck out of J.K. Rowling, who's not even a transphobe as far as I can tell, but sure. It's not changed whatsoever. I'm sure a lot of minors humor the suicide narrative in order to have their way. Yeah, of course. Minors with anorexia can be manipulative too. Yeah. Like, kids included, people will say whatever they need to a lot of the time. And people are encouraged to exaggerate their symptoms. Like, if you want to be treated, if you want to be trans, you're not going to say, oh, I just kind of want to be a girl, I guess. You're going to say that being a guy makes you fucking miserable and it feels wrong to you and stuff. Like, everything you can throw at the wall, you will. Hi, Serena, by the way.
having to
Oh, and hi, Scrawn as well.
actually process my trauma for the first time. I sort of started thinking about my future and if I wanted to have children, and I couldn't imagine myself as someone's father.
Jordan, talk, if you will, about the lawsuit. And I know you're trying.
God, I hope like it's not too late for her then, you know? The red flag when people use suicide as a threat in order to get their way. Yeah, it's abuse, it's manipulation.
Trying to get this message out. What is the wider message you want people to take away from this?
Yeah, Trey. So, Clementine is suing for medical negligence, and her story is, of course, unique. But what I can tell you is it is by no means isolated. And so by that, I mean, we started our firm with the sole mission of representing detransitioners and victims of radical gender ideology. And I can tell you that in just over a year and a half, we've spoken to over 125 potential plaintiffs or their families. And you hear very similar stories over and over and over of vulnerable children and young adults who are fast-tracked absolutely into completely life-altering, life-destroying, and family-shattering treatments purported that they can never come back from. And it is by no means isolated. It's happening
Listen, Bug, it's good to see you. Thanks for watching.
every single day to scores of children across this country.
And that's what I'm wondering, because he says people think it's isolated, that these are very rare, and you're saying that's not the case.
No, I know tons of people that have detransitioned and tons of children that have transitioned, even younger than me, starting medical treatments. I grew up around lots of people through the clinic that I saw my doctor through, and seeing people dismiss it is really disheartening to me.
And what would you tell the younger you? What would you tell these younger people who were thinking the very same thing that you were thinking at 12 years old?
Oh my God, how many? I was just trying to find what this person's full name was. Jesus Christ.
I mean, for me specifically, I wish I could have told myself that there is no right way to be female, and that if I hate myself for being female, that doesn't mean there's something physically wrong with me that I need to buy a cure for.
Excuse the lag. Excuse the lag. My computer's just crashing, don't worry. Yeah, what I was going to say, this Clementine person, what they're talking about, like with the kind of suicide shit, the worst thing is, I think this is significant personally, this shit is being pushed like by the people at the top. Look at this fucking she pin. Amazing. I totally wouldn't know what to call you if you didn't have a thing that said she on it. Are we normalizing pronouns? Sure. Sure, bro. Sure, bro. Yeah, she was literally being treated by this Joanna Olsen Kennedy, like one of the higher ups, one of the top dogs. And she's doing the same shit. Transition your kid because they might kill themselves. It's fucked. I think it's very significant that even people like Joanna Olsen Kennedy are doing this shit. It's not just more spurious kind of doctors that just want your money. They just want to transition all the kids. Much money as we can, please. Yep, you're trans. Go through. Yep, you're trans. It's from the top down. And that's terrifying. No?
Now, see, I'm a simple man. I hear someone telling their story about detransitioning and how they have to go through this whole process, and I feel bad. And then I remember that there are people out there who will completely step over someone telling their own story.
Listen, I'm all for stigmatizing people like Joanna Olsen Kennedy. She seems extremely dodgy. What with the Clementine situation, what with the research, it's nuts. There's Billboard Chris. Was it Billboard Chris that was talking to her just there? I'm not sure. I guess a lot of them kind of do the circuit, but that's the thing. These are the people that listen. Also, this is, he spent time with her. Holy shit, I'll have to find some more stuff. Like, I have other stuff to do, but like, I do need to follow up on this. Doing the plastic surgeon, a guidance count. Plastic surgeon? They were going to do like plastic surgery on her? I might as well have a look at this. I'm at UCLA. I just met Clementine, who recently detransitioned. When she was 12, Joanna Olsen Kennedy put her on puberty blockers. At 13, put on testosterone. 14 years old, given a double mastectomy. So this, hang on. This is Clementine here. Can we see? Do I need to cover her? No, I don't. This is Clementine here. Here's the thing. Something like mastectomy, you don't really need evidence for because it's right here. This person has clearly had a mastectomy. 14 years old. Hope she doesn't want to breastfeed her kids ever. She just said she couldn't imagine being a child's father. And she won't be able to breastfeed her kids. It sucks, man. It sucks. I didn't want kids. I'm okay with who I am. But, you know, that's because I'm one of the lucky ones, if anything, you know. Clementine had suffered sexual abuse, and that was the source of great trauma, why she didn't want to be a girl. I mean, not like directly relatable, but relatable in a sense. It's quite a heavy feeling sometimes covering this stuff. Anyway, Diana Ahernsaft. Who is that? Joanna Olsen Kennedy didn't care about that. Within 30 minutes of her first appointment, she was told she needed to go on puberty blockers or she might kill herself. Yeah, this is one of the top dogs. Isn't the trans mastectomy done by a plastic surgeon? Okay, you're right. That's fair enough. I think I'm still catching up. Do I have a partner? I do. I'm so sorry. I'm also post-op, so it's double disappointment coming from me. My parents were told, listen, what did I say? I've not looked anything into this. I didn't know who Clementine Breen was until just now. My parents were told they could have a dead daughter or a live son. What did I say earlier? That's the line. That's the That's the money shot. That's what they fucking say to them. I've heard this so many times that it's just memory at this point. I know exactly, just from hearing like a bit of this story, the shit that she's been told, and it sucks. This is standard practice This is standard practice at gender clinics. Yep, very much seems that way. The only way they can justify as child abuse is to say the kids will die if they don't do it. Yeah, they can't do anything less. And it's from the top down. Testosterone caused psychosis, so Clementine went off it at 17. So she was on T for 4 years. Jesus. She's just now turned 20 and could probably never have kids. She's trying to get reconstructive surgery, but insurance companies only want to pay for destruction of children's bodies, not reconstruction. I mean, quite emotional language, a bit, what's the word? Essentialized, but is he wrong? I'm not sure. I'm not sure I can disagree with that in good faith, honestly. Just now turned 20. Oh yeah, no, we did that. I hope Clementine sues. It sounds like she is. Good. We could watch this as well, to be fair.
Story just to say, oh, well, statistically, that really doesn't matter, and you're the minority. And I laugh on the inside because now we suddenly don't care about the minorities anymore, but that's besides the point. I hear this story, and I'm concerned that a doctor is just going above and beyond to get something done to a child as a quick fix. And then I hear audio of this same doctor talking about, and I'm paraphrasing because I don't have it right in front of me, but the benefit of being a content creator is that you can prove your point by showing the evidence after you say the sentence, that this woman is comparing transitioning to a haircut.
Allow their body to come into better alignment with their gender. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So when I talk about transitioning, that's what I mean. There are definitely different ways to think about this process. So you can think about it in terms of...
Oh, no worries, Bug. I don't know. Ever since I talked to Chud Logic, I feel like I have to explain out the gate. No gawk to be seen here. I'm sorry to disappoint. I'm sorry to everyone that saw me and assumed something, but hey.
I love you, Mary.
Thank you so much, Rather Raz. Thank you so much for the $10. I really appreciate that. Thank you.
Reversibility. So social transition or elements of social transition.
By the way, social transition by itself stacks the deck heavily. It's like loading the dice. You know what I mean? Like, if your kid's being socially transitioned, they are way more likely to continue through the course, to go from puberty blockers to testosterone, let's say, surgeries, exactly like this Clementine Breen person has. Like, it's fucking wild, man. Like, how many of these people need to come forward exactly? And Joanna Olsen-Cat, I don't know if this is the same clip. She says something about like, oh, if you get a mastectomy, just get implants. Like, fuck off. You know what I mean? I don't know if it was the same person as well. One sec. Excuse me. I don't know if it was the same person as well saying like, oh, you grow facial hair as a result of your testosterone. Just get it lasered off again. I think, did I see Luxander saying something like that? Oh, this person could have done this and that, and they didn't. And it's like, wow, maybe this person doesn't have fucking thousands upon thousands of dollars for that shit. By the way, I'm a trans woman. I've had like electrolysis on my face. I spent the whole of last year, every month, getting electrolysis on my face to reduce my facial hair because I just don't want it. That's just how it is. And I'm an adult. I can make that decision. It fucking hurts. It's not cheap. And it's a long process. Like, you'll come out, you'll be speaking with a bit of a slur for a short while because, like, all of this around your face is swollen. Hopefully, if you get electrolysis, you can handle the pain because it's fucking lots. It's not something that everyone can do. It's grossly irresponsible. I just saw one of those where they put implants after the mastectomy. It looked horrible. Jesus Christ. And I mean, hey, even if you get implants, having just done that, it's the same shit. It's still just aesthetic. It's almost like these people think that all that matters is aesthetics and nothing else. How are you going to breastfeed someone? The way GAC is covered, but not detrans care. Yeah, it's disgusting. I agree.
including like your clothing, your hairstyle, your name, your pronouns, the toys you play with or the games you play with. Those are all obviously reversible things.
Obviously reversible things. Well, yeah, technically. But I don't know. Let's say you come out as trans when you're like 13 and you change your name and all that shit. And then at like 15, you kind of start wavering on that. Like, you're going to have to go back on all the stuff that you've been saying about yourself. You're going to have to go back on like changing your name. You got to go back on like so much shit. It's quite scary. Like, a lot of kids are potentially going to not want to detransition because of the social pressure of staying the course now that they've changed their name, now that they've changed all that shit. Like, what about like male people that think that they're trans in their teens and then go back on it? Do you think they're really not going to be hearing from their mates for the rest of the time? Oh yeah, remember when you were a girl for 2 years? You know what I mean? Like, come on. It's so much more complicated than this. There's studies that show socially transitioning massively increases the odds of staying the course, you know, going through these processes, going through electrolysis is the most patient. Yeah, electrolysis is permanent and it works really well, but it's tough, you know. If you're tough, if you can deal with a bit of pain, maybe you've had like tattoos and stuff and you can deal with it, you're probably fine. Ultimately, to me, I just try and think about it as it's something that I'm gonna thank myself for having dealt with at the time, because I truly don't want my facial hair. Like I said, I'm one of the lucky ones because this is what I want anyway. But like, I can't fathom like children making the same decision I did. Like, I'm not having kids, you know what I mean? I've had a fucking vaginoplasty. That ship has sailed, mate. You know? And we want to do this to kids. I just can't. I can't. It's ghoulish. Yeah, this is nuts what she's saying.
They are certainly not things that are only talked about for adolescents or children. This could be part of anyone's process.
What does that even mean?
Wherever they are in their development. And then puberty blocker.
Like, it's just a bit different when you're an adult to when you're a kid. I'm sorry. The consent is completely different.
Once we talk about gender-affirming hormones and surgical interventions, some of them are reversible. Some elements of hormones are reversible and some are not. And genital surgery is a pretty permanent intervention. It takes a lot of work to reverse that.
And I just think, wow, you probably shouldn't be.
I think here's something to consider when it comes to the so-called reversible stuff. How reversible can you say it is? Like social transition, for example. If most of the kids that you socially transition carry on and go on to less reversible things, therefore, how reversible actually is socially transitioning? Because when you think about it, you got to think about it's like a chain, you know what I mean? Like, it's just one link in it, and then you've got the next one and the next one, and they're getting bigger and bigger and more difficult to pull apart should you decide that's not what you want anymore. So it's not just about that. To be clear, it's not that I don't recommend electrolysis. It's very good. But the thing is, it fucking hurts. So you just gotta be able to accept that. Like, getting hairs pulled out like here, for like a male person, like anyone who's got facial hair, you'll know this. And if you don't, try pulling on one of them. Yeah, it's memorable. This shit, like, I'd be like crying buckets while she's pulling these hairs out of me. Not because I'm upset about anything, just because it's like eye-watering, you know what I mean? Binding is considered social transition. It shouldn't be. I mean, it's more of a, it's not really a social thing. I guess they would refer to it as like a reversible treatment, so to speak, when you can fuck yourself up binding as well. Absolutely.
Someone who works around children, because that leads me to think in any minute issue, you would think that it would be a good idea.
Oh, by the way, I had laser facial hair removal years and years ago. It didn't work, like, at all. I don't know if it was because of like hormones or what, but it just didn't work for me. Electrolysis at least has like helped, you know what I mean? And like, I don't know. I shaved today. I don't always have to shave. I can deal with being on camera these days, not necessarily having shaved for like one day. Wish there were a way to remove hair permanently. There is. It's called electrolysis, but it hurts like a son of a bitch. So you just gotta. It depends how committed you are to not having facial hair, I guess. Like, I will deal with it because I don't want my facial hair. You know what I mean? I've never wanted it, really. It never grew properly. Literally, I get like the pirate stash. I get the soul patch. I get a bit of a like new metal beard down here. I get the world's patchiest fucking sideburns that don't grow properly. Nice little neck strip here. Just really shit. Really shit. Just it. If I'd stayed a guy, I still almost definitely wouldn't have not gone around with facial hair because my facial hair just sucked. Oh, I have dark hair. Like what you're seeing here, this is my natural color. I haven't dyed my hair in a long time. I'm pretty pale and I have dark skin. I have dark facial hair, should I say. It just wasn't working.
Idea to just put the child on some hormones, to start counseling them about going through the process of transitioning, or start thinking that that is a good idea. And the thing that irks me is that there are people, like I said, who step over these people who are telling their stories about how they either got manipulated.
That's a good point. I wonder how a lot of these people that think that chest binding and stuff is okay, I wonder how they feel about foot binding, you know what I mean? Never really heard anyone compare the two. I've tried waxing. One of my exes, before she was my partner, no less, this is a long time ago, one of my exes waxed like my full body because she didn't like body hair. Really fucking hurt. Pre-transition, you're a tall fanboy, you must have been popular. Absolutely not, no. Fucking hell. I have had a lot of periods of like being single. I don't know. I think the tall fanboy thing probably works, but you have to have the attitude to back it up. And when I was younger, I definitely did not have that. I was afraid of everything and everyone.
Peer pressured or put into a situation where they thought it would be better for their life if they did this, and they say, no, that didn't happen. Fuck you. You don't know what you're talking about. You're just being transphobic. And I don't think that progresses the conversation because, and I'm going to say the drastic hot take no one wants to hear.
My up, theying, my them. I'm not actually sure what I mean. My face changed a lot on hormones. I really doubt stopping HRT would change it back. I actually don't know. I actually don't know if it does. Yeah, I'd have to look into that. I've honestly never thought about that.
Here, as a grown adult, whatever you do with your balls and your vagina, you can do that whatever and how you see fit. I necessarily don't care because it's not my balls, it's not my vagina, so why would I care? But when you're trying to sway this towards,
I think he's probably gay, to be honest. Hey, listen, I've got no problem with gay people. I like gay people.
Children, that's a little bit of a concern for me because, again, I'm gonna say something controversial. You may not like it. Your children are dumb. Look at your child right now. I bet you $50 that little bastard didn't piss the bed and you done looked at the child and said, you are 9 years old. How are you still pissing the bed? And now
I wasted a perfectly good fanboy. Maybe, I don't know. Not sure. If I was more self-confident at an earlier age, that probably would have helped. To be fair, the other thing is I grew up, like I'm 34 years old. When I was 18, it didn't feel like there was a huge demand for like effeminate males. Largely, you just got called gay and made fun of and shit like that. I got called gay like constantly. I'm a straight guy, you know? I got called gay a fucking lot. Always bisexual, fair enough. Well, that's a bit like gay in a way. I was half right. That's the thing with bi people. You're basically always half right. Young people are pursuing relationships much less often over the past three decades. Yeah, that's true.
You sitting there rubbing down some Spider-Man.
Like, to be extremely clear, I don't know anything about this creator. This is the first time I've ever watched him. So I'm gonna not know everything.
And bed sheets are frozen bed sheets while your child runs around eating a toaster strudel. You think to yourself, your child is not really equipped to handle anything regarding a medical procedure or pills to change their gender. That's something I could never truly get behind. Why? Because children are dumb. Their entire being at that point in their life is SpongeBob pissing the...
I don't like to say children are dumb, but I do acknowledge there's a difference between a child and an adult consenting for something, you know what I mean? There's a difference in cognitive ability for sure.
Bed, hiding bad grades, and wondering if some fat guy's gonna break into their house and leave them gifts. Disgusting way to raise children, by the way. You know you risking your.
Yeah, for some reason, I don't know. I think I lack the attitude to back it up, so I couldn't make it work. I think honestly that we should probably do a little bit more to kind of normalize gender nonconformity without jumping to conclusions about someone's sex. You know what I mean? I don't get why someone cannot be a woman without taking hormones. You can have long hair and makeup and dress up. I'm not sure. Maybe I'm missing something.
Life doing Black Friday shopping to get them a present. You deserve all the thanks and all the accommodations and acknowledgement. But that's besides.
Children naive, not dumb. Yeah, that's probably a better way of putting it. I agree. They certainly don't understand the world as well. They certainly don't understand like permanence as well. Or like long-term ramifications of things like transitioning, for example.
That's the point. We don't need to be hiding information from people that would further the conversation, because when you do that, you give more ammunition to your opposition that's ready to say, fuck this, get rid of it, we don't need it in society. You create that toxic environment because you're unwilling to have that conversation. You're unwilling to speak to these people. You're unwilling to demonstrate that you actually took the time to care about this subject. And yeah,
Leon's cool, sometimes too hyperbolic, but generally it's all it takes from race and gender. Listen, most of these people that are like polarizing in my audience, they normally seem to be pretty good. It's a bit like whenever I watch like someone like Ty Rivera or like Mr. Meno or something, like there's always about half and half people shitting on them and people saying that they really like them. And then after about 10 minutes, it's like, oh wait, they're right about this. And it's like, okay, sure. But hey, not everyone's going to like everyone, of course. I'm going to have to look up this Diane Ehrensaft person. Yeah. Okay, so her name means honor juice, I guess. Amazing. Listen, I didn't know German. It's quite possible that this takes on a different meaning when stuck together, but it's just funny to me.
maybe it didn't work out the way you wanted, but at least you're being true to the research that you came about. And you didn't do that. And welcome to the chickens coming home to roost. Now you're going to have more people coming out and saying this whole trans thing made up, get rid of.
I like his shirt, I gotta say. That's pretty cool. Samantha Lux, yes, a few times. She's actually one of the less bad ones. Occasionally she seems to have a moment of clarity and say something sensible and then swiftly forget it and go back to being a fucking SJW. But she's actually not the bottom of the barrel. And that's quite scary to say because I do not think she's a particularly intelligent or honest person, if I'm honest.
We don't need it, throw it away, fuck it all, lock everybody up. And that's your fault. And then you have people who know of you because they went to you for help and you did this to them. And now they're coming out the woodwork suing you. And that's your fault. And the conversation's going to get worse. And
yep, and this is going to come crashing down on everyone that's involved in this shit, whether they're one of these disgusting doctors or there's some innocent trans person that just wanted to transition. Like it's gonna clobber a whole lot of people, you know, some of whom don't deserve it.
And more rhetoric is gonna get spewed, and that's gonna be
See, like with like gender non-conforming, like androgynous kind of people. I remember people like Brian Molko or like Davey Havoc back in like 2002, 3-ish, back when he looked feminine and stuff. Like, I don't know, that kind of stuff always really appealed to me, I guess. Oh my god, he made a video about Xanderhal. Okay, this guy's based. I don't care what any of you people hating on this guy says. He made fun of Xanderhal. Anyone who made fun of Xanderhal can't be that bad.
Completely your fault because you wanted to be the hero that burned it all to the ground. So congratulations on your colossal fuck up. Subscribe to the channel.
There we go. Yeah, I quite like that video. I'm going to watch this Twitter clip as well. Can I just ask, by the way? I swear, I don't know if it's just the billboard thing, because I've never won one of those billboards, but I swear every time I see Billboard Chris, he's always standing like an NPC, like this is how he goes around or something. It's just funny to me. I don't dislike Billboard Chris or anything, but yeah. Anyway, I want to see what this is.
Actually seen your stuff online, and I'm
Yeah.
a huge fan. I was on puberty blockers. I started when I was 12, and I was on testosterone from 14 to 17, and I got...
Am I an AFI fan? I like some of their music. I think pretty much everything after Sing the Sorrow was average at best. Just blocked someone. Yeah, I'm sorry. There's gonna be some crazy shit that people say. Unfortunately, it's just kind of like that. I do apologize if you're not enjoying some of that shit. I don't know. But yeah, I really like Sing the Sorrow. I used to quite like December Underground, but when I listened to it again recently, I'm like, I don't know about this. There's a couple of good songs, but I don't know. I like Black Sails in the Sunset as well. It's a good album. But mostly Sing the Sorrow. I like the song Girl's Not Grey is really good. What's the one? Death of Seasons. I like that song a lot. There's quite a few. Anyway, yeah, Billboard Chris.
Top surgery at 17. Totally messed my life up, so I just want to say you're doing a good thing.
Wow.
I can't believe people disagree with you on this. As a former child transitioner, I'm just appalled that people have anything to question you about. So
I mean, she's actually been through it. Like, a lot of the people pushing the child transition stuff didn't go through it and talk about how much happier they necessarily would have been. They might not even still be with us if they'd child transitioned, you know?
Well, I'm so sorry you had to go through all that. I'm glad you are through it now. Thank you so much.
Yeah, with punk kind of music, honestly, I'm more post-hardcore, At the Drive-In, Me Without You, that kind of stuff.
For speaking up. That's extremely valuable because a lot of people are afraid to.
yeah.
So, do you mind if we have a little conversation about it?
Of course, yeah.
Okay, come on in this way just a little bit.
Oh yeah, for sure. Hi.
So, your name is...
Yeah, Billboard Chris, I mean, Jesus, it's quite brave in a lot of ways going out like this. Some pretty crazy shit happens. I can't remember what I watched. There was a Billboard Chris video with some insane, trans man who, I can't remember if he shoved him or threw something at him and then was going off filming himself oh my God, Billboard Chris is bad and stuff. And Billboard Chris was following him. He followed him into a hotel and he got fucking arrested. It was pretty good. Postal worker was stabbed in New York by a woman. Look up the video if you get a chance. Let me see after I've done this. I'll see if I can find it.
Again?
My name's Clementine.
Clementine. So Clementine went on puberty blockers at what age?
12.
And you detransitioned at?
I detransitioned earlier this year, actually, but I had been going off testosterone since about 17 because it gave me psychosis.
When did they put you on testosterone?
I was 13.
Wow. And when did you have a double mastectomy?
I had a double mastectomy at 14. I'm currently going through...
Must be hard to be at uni. Yeah, Jesus Christ. This is the thing. You detransition, you have a bad experience. You're then going to have nothing but bad experiences with everyone that pushes this shit. Which to me is a sign of a chronic lack of empathy, quite frankly. I'm trans myself and it worked out okay for me in the sense that I'm okay with who I am and hopefully, I don't really have any health issues that I know of. Hopefully it won't have affected me too badly. But I wouldn't dream of hating on someone like this. That's really fucked.
The process of getting reconstructive surgery, and it was harder to get that approved. I actually wasn't able to get it approved by my insurance.
Right.
But it was much harder to get surgery for that than it was to actually get the original top surgery procedure.
For everyone watching this who says this isn't...
To be fair, no, I was making fun of Billboard Chris earlier. To be fair, this shit is getting in the way. He's having to do an awful lot of this. maybe there's a reason for the T-posing, you know what I mean?
Happening. Well, it happened to Clementine. At 14, a double mastectomy, puberty blockers at 12.
Oh yeah, this never happens. I forgot. This never happens. This woman who clearly has had her breast removed. Never happens. Funny how the left want to silence detransitioners, but also want to speak for them. Well, that's the thing. They go to speak to right-wingers, and then the left are like, well, why are you speaking to right-wingers? You must be a right-winger. So, who was it? Fuck. Someone I watched recently basically insinuated that every single detransitioner is like Chloe Cole, flying around the country, getting money from what was it? Heritage Foundation and stuff, which I'm not judging for her for, by the way. But like Jesus Christ. Like, it's so transparent. When you think about it for more than 2 seconds, assuming you have the intelligence to do so, I guess, it's just gross. It's just disgusting. Why do people refer to Buck as Susan when his real name was Laura? I have no idea. I didn't even know what his name was.
Testosterone at 13. How old are you now?
I'm 20 now. I just turned 20.
Have you ever talked to anyone about suing?
I can't disclose what's going on, but yeah, it's...
Okay, because I'm here to help you find
like
someone if you need someone.
Yeah, I've spoken... Do you know Campbell Miller Payne?
I do.
I've talked to them a bunch.
Fantastic. So Campbell Miller Payne is a law firm, 4 dads in Texas who all left their previous law firms and started a new one just to sue for kids and young people like Clementine who've been harmed by this madness. And these are great guys. They could have done anything to make a bunch of money, but they started a law firm. They left all their previous firms. They have 18 kids between them, and they're going to cause a lot of waves. I know some good lawsuits coming too, which we aren't allowed to announce yet.
Yeah, I really hope so.
That's one of the way out of this mess we've gotten into.
I don't know how a child could consent to the loss of their fertility.
Yeah.
Children can't conceptualize that, and I think people don't understand that.
So what got you into this in the first place?
I was sexually abused as a child, and that was totally ignored, but I started having a lot of negative feelings about my body around puberty, and I was egged on by some guidance counselors that I might be transgender, and I later decided that I was really a boy and my life would be so much easier because of all this.
These guidance counselors, how do they feel now? I mean, most likely they don't ever think about this shit. Why the fuck? Sorry, this has nothing to do with anything. Why is Bo Blacks trending on Twitter? Bo Blacks. I thought that guy was like... Oh, it's gone now, fair enough. About to say, I thought that guy was like... career over, goodbye, you know? Anyway, nothing to do with what we're watching.
Abuse that I had experienced because of being a woman, and I totally just rejected womanhood because I thought that all that...
There's a whole law firm to deal with detransition. Well, yeah, of course. That's what happens. You reject the fuck out of a group. Like, other people are going to look at it and be like, shit, maybe I should help those people. Like, that's how it is. Again, we TRAs made a rod for our own backs here. We made our bed and we're going to have to lie in it, unfortunately.
What it meant for me was pain. Yeah. That's kind of how I got there, but
and what got
getting
you
out of it, getting out of it
was that what Bo Black's? Oh, fair enough. That guy seems like he's like finished. I watch a lot of that like commentary, like drama kind of shit, but it's not what I talk about. I don't really watch the stuff that I talk about, like in my spare time, if that makes sense.
It's a really difficult process for me, but mostly it was just getting the right therapy. I went to DBT therapy and we never discussed my gender. We only discussed my sexual abuse. And after I dealt with that,
Yeah, imagine that, talking about the actual thing. I think what can be very hard with like trauma, especially, is you have to kind of accept it yourself. And especially if your trauma was at the hands of someone close to you that, you know, maybe you still want a relationship with of some kind, you might end up in denial. And unfortunately, I know that firsthand because I've read through like a few years. It wasn't even a few years ago. It was like last year. It was about a year ago. I read through all my documents that the gender identity clinic in London had on me because I needed my documents. So I asked for them. I DSAR'd them. By the way, you want your documents from a company in the UK that have documents on you? You DSAR them. Really important. But yeah, I read through it and it's like there's very specific things that I just would not talk about at that time. And I think it makes a huge difference. And I think it's something that probably contributed to me going down this path, honestly.
I realized I didn't want to do this anymore, and the loss of my fertility and my body just started to really sink in. And I realized, like, oh my God, I've built this entire persona around misogyny.
Do you know for sure?
Like, how often do you hear it? Like, people who are victims of trauma, they often revert to fantasy, especially when, like, isolated. Like, listen, if you're a lonely kid, you immerse yourself in a fantasy world, at least partly because, like, entertainment is something to do. It's something to think about that isn't what's around you. Yeah. we're kind of creating this shit and then pretending that it doesn't exist when it comes back around, you know, and that sucks.
Sure that you've lost your fertility?
I'm not 100% sure,
Okay.
but
you were on
I'm not the
testosterone
most
for
hopeful.
4
I never
years.
went through female puberty, so yeah.
Right. I'm so sorry, but thank you so much for speaking up.
Yeah,
It's
thank
extremely
you for
brave.
speaking to me.
It's extremely powerful. I'm so sorry what was done to you, but this is going to help other people not
I'm so glad
to
you're
fall
doing what
down
you're
this
doing.
rabbit hole.
Keep going.
One last question, and just come in a little bit.
Yeah, of course.
Before you started on the puberty blockers, you've just shared with me this sexual abuse that happened to you before you started on those.
Yeah.
Did anyone ask you about that?
No, not was that brought up once during the meeting. I was only asked, do I like hanging out?
Oh my god. Sorry, I should not be. This is a serious topic, but like what's going on the left here? Fucking hell, man. Ouch. Anyway, let's do that again. Listen, I'm not making fun of this video. Things distract me. Things amuse me that probably shouldn't.
That happened to you before you started on those?
Yeah.
Because no one asked me about my trauma. And I mean, I have trauma ranging from when I was about 5 years old to when I was about 21-year-old from different sources. And I only even acknowledged that some of it was real. I only even acknowledged that some of it happened, which is, you know, when I think about it now, it's a bit terrifying because I really had to like confront a lot of that shit because of the problems I ended up having because of it. And it's not easy, you know.
Did anyone ask you about that?
No, not was that brought up once during the meeting. I was only asked, do I like hanging out with boys? Do I get fit in better with boys? What kind of things am I into? Just really surface level questions. And I was prescribed puberty blockers 30 minutes into my appointment after being out for 4 months.
First appointment?
Yes.
With?
Dr. Joanna Olson Kennedy at Los Angeles Children's Hospital.
Johanna Olson Kennedy. I've talked a lot about her, and I'm going to put more about her underneath this video.
I'm wondering, Clementine, whether she had like wealthy parents, because I've heard other people like suggest that they got fast tracked because of their wealthy parents. Like maybe they were seeing one of these like higher up doctors or something like that. You know, it'd be nice to get a proper like explanation why some people seem to have to wait ad infinitum and other people get fast tracked. It'd be nice to nail that down because clearly there's two different experiences going on. I don't think people that have had to wait for a long time, I mean, definitely not in this country, fucking hell, but in America, I don't think those people are necessarily lying. I think there's a lot of different experiences that happen, unfortunately. And obviously, you know, there's the more direct profit motive of your doctors in the US too.
She's running the busiest gender clinic in the country at Children's Hospital of Los Angeles. She received a grant from the NIH a few years ago for $5.7 million. And part of that grant application, she asked for approval to give opposite sex hormones to kids as young as 8 years old.
Lingua ignota. I really like lingua ignota. Yeah. Yeah, like her first album especially. I don't like every song on it, but like the good songs are like really good.
Yeah,
she is one of the biggest, if not the biggest, gender ghoul in the United States of America. Did she talk to your parents?
She did, and she told them the same.
15 million views. Yeah, this shit is not going to stop. We've got all these trans people, these weird doctors and stuff that are still clinging to the sinking ship. And it's not going to end well for them, unfortunately. Like, I would like to convince some of my fellow trans people that this shit has gone insane and that things need to change. I don't often get much of a response. In fact, I often just get screamed at for it, but I don't know, if I can help a few people to not get dragged down with this shit, that'd be amazing, quite honestly. And you don't need to detransition if that's not what you want to do. It's just, don't play defense for this shit because it's mad. It's gone way too far. I never wanted like trans kids. I never wanted like, what is it? I never wanted like female sports to be full of fucking males, you know what I mean? Higher income families more likely in the States, but not in place with universal healthcare. Yeah, that makes sense because in the UK it's generally accepted that you're waiting a while, you know? I was a kid allowed to permanently chemically alter their body, but it's still illegal for them to get a tattoo. Yeah, how indeed. These places, kids in care who are disadvantaged most at risk of being fast-tracked. Okay. I'll have to look more into that. It would be good to get an answer for that, because I don't truly know very well why some people get fast-tracked and other people wait. There has to be an explanation for it, and I think both things are true simultaneously.
Something that she tells everybody, that I was deeply suicidal, and that if they didn't let me transition, I would be at high risk for suicide.
Deeply suicidal. It's a bit like what they say. It's a bit like what they say about people. I really like a show from the UK from like 10 something years ago called Utopia. And like right at the start, they bump this guy off and then stage it as a suicide. And it's all like, oh, he's very depressed, all this shit. And that kind of starts off at least one of them down a conspiracy, because it's like this guy wasn't depressed at all. It's got shades of that. Like, it's gross. It's gross, man. You shouldn't be sounding like the fucking conspiracy people from fucking Utopia. If you do, then you might be a bit evil, unfortunately.
And I only attempted to kill myself after I transitioned.
So she convinced them that they had two options, a dead daughter or a live son.
Yes.
Did she even use those words?
She did use those exact words.
Wow. Give me a hug.
Must be a big reason the riot is gaining popularity. Yeah, it's part of it. I mean, you know, I've said before that I think the trans shit kind of helped Trump get elected. And it's really annoying because whenever I talk about shit like that, I always get people being like, what, you think that's why he got elected? It's like, no, I think that's a factor. Like, I don't know. Some people, it seems like whenever you say something, you mean the most absolute version of that thing possible when it's not necessarily what I'm trying to say. But then, hey, usually when people respond that way, it's because they want to twist your shit that way so that that's what they can think your thing is. And then even if you deny it and say, well, no, I think this, they've already taken that shit to the bank. You know what I mean?
Thank you for talking to me.
Thank you for talking to me.
Have a great rest of your day.
All right.
God bless.
God, this stuff, like, it's hard to listen to sometimes. It really is. Yeah, this is the point. This is the quote. This is the quote that I was talking about earlier. Hang on. Dude just wanted a hug. Oh. Yeah, this is the one I was talking about. If you want breasts at If you want breasts at a later point in your life, you can go and get them. It's a bizarre, like, these people glorify the fuck out of, like, surgeries and, like, fake shit that just gives you the appearance. As if the appearance of something makes you that thing. As if the appearance is good enough, you know what I mean? Like, that was one of the things that broke me, honestly, because I was just taking on certain appearance things that had no actual function. Like, I had a vaginoplasty. I don't have a vagina. It doesn't do anything. It's just there. Amazon tried to remake. Didn't they do an American version? I saw bits of it and it looked absolutely awful. Like, I don't know. The British version is amazing and they didn't finish it, which sucks. We do like to do really short series and then cut them off when they get interesting. But it's like, okay, amazing. That's just our life. This is why British people are always depressed, by the way. I'm sorry, that was dumb. Anyway, I want to hear this quick.
Right? But so what we do know is that adolescents actually have the capacity to make a reasoned, logical decision. And here's the other thing about chest surgery. If you want breasts at a later point in your life, you can go and get them. Right? But so what we do know is that adolescents actually have the capacity to make a reasoned, logical decision. And here's the other thing about chest surgery. If you want breasts at a later point in your life, you can go and get them.
I mean, what do I even need to say? What do I even need to say? What even is there to say? It's fucked. And it's going to keep happening. And people can cling to the fucking sinking ship, or they can start listening to these people that have had bad experiences. It is unfathomable that every transition is like positive and a good thing. And the ones that go wrong, oh, just don't worry about them. Don't worry about them. Because, hey, I have watched a fair amount of trans content from bigger channels like Jammy Dodger, for example. When the fuck has he ever called out any of this shit? All I've ever heard, he had to turn off the show during the first episode, is very violent. I mean, I haven't seen the American one. Like I said, it looks fucking gash to me. And I like British TV a lot better than American TV in general, which might be because I'm British. I don't know. But that's just how it is. But yeah, it's extremely violent. Like, you gotta go in knowing what you're getting in for. Like, you see a lot of people get bumped off in that show. Fucking hell. But yeah, someone like Jammy Dodger, like, when has he ever called out anything like this? All I've ever heard him say is, oh, well, detransitioners, it's bad what happens to them, but there's not many of them. Like, that's the exact narrative and the exact attitude that is causing this shit now. That someone like Billboard Chris can go out and talk to a bunch of these people that are just being ignored and, like, wallpapered over. Because what it turns out, when you actually listen to these people talk, some fucked up shit has been going on. And none of us should be okay with it, whether you're trans, pro-trans, whatever. It baffles me sometimes. I don't know what to say sometimes. Anyway, so there we have Clementine Breen. I might follow up on that at some point. Transition stories should be used to make the practice better for people in the future. Yeah, if they were honest, maybe this would work better. What happened to those people? But that doesn't mean we should stop GAC for everyone. That's the thing, though. Not many of the people that are against, like, transitioning children and want better safeguarding, not many of these people are saying that we should stop GAC for everyone. And I think people should stop using that argument. I think people should stop moving it to that straight away. Not everyone is saying the most absolute and extreme version of the thing that they're saying. And I think there's a real tendency in trans circles to treat it that way. Probably because it's a lot easier to be dishonest about the person if you do that, you know what I mean? But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I agree. I think that if an adult wants to transition, they should be able to. But, like, children, absolutely not. I can't get down with that shit.